Welcome back to Weebology. Thanks, y'all, for coming back to class. Hope y'all had a great Christmas and a great New Year's.
A better one.
Oh, yeah. I am your cozy professor, Ricky.
And I am your snuggled Professor Ethan.
We are very cozy right now. YouTube gang seeing us. We are here in the lab testing new polymers.
Synthetic fibers harvested from trees and
in remote regions of the world.
Other sustainable stuff. Anywho.
Good sustainable plug. Did you have a nice Christmas, Ethan? Did you get anything fun, sweet?
No.
No? What? That's not bad. That's not the answer I was hoping for.
Sorry. No, it was a chill Christmas.
That's good. Yeah, I got a I don't know, can't tell if it's lonely or cool, but I got a tiny 4-inch cast iron skillet. Good for 1 steak or 2 eggs. Very, very tiny.
Very interesting.
I know. It came with like a cookbook on how to cook for 1 in a cast iron. I can't tell if it's lonely or cool, but it feels like a concealed carry of the cooking world, right? So at any moment, I need to just whip out a pan.
Kind of feels like somebody's coming at you a little bit. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, a little bit. So what are we talking about today, Ethan?
Today, we are talking through our top 5 shows of 2019.
Yep, a whole year of anime has gone by, and we wanted to do our rundown of our picks, but we had another idea about how to go about doing a top anything list, and we wanted to do something that I guess we're calling top 5 duels, where we will both make a list, we make videos giving our opinions of how our list should break down for the topic, and then we have an episode like this where we talk about how our list shook down and whether we are right or wrong. Me being right and Ethan being wrong. So
whatever, dude.
Yeah. So actually,
this is a new comfy Ethan. I'm not gonna fight you on it.
You know what? I shouldn't have provoked you. We're both very comfy, but I think it's gonna get very heated up in this lab in a second.
Could do.
Could. So yeah.
But first,
yes,
we want to shout out some recent episodes we did with the Anime Summit podcast. Yes. I almost said spotlight as a riff on you. As a riff on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did a episode of Shoujo and also a Haikyuu episode. And they just did recently their decade spotlight on, God, I don't know the Japanese name of it, but it's My Love Story.
Yeah. Is it My Love Story or Your Love Story?
My Love Story.
My Love Story? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go check out their podcast. It's fantastic. Nick, Sam, and Dannie are really, really good podcasters and have fantastic content. And
consummate pros, frankly.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And we also just recorded an episode with Anime Compost, which will be out next week. Had them on as guests. Fantastic guys over there. And we had a really good discussion. So tune in and stay tuned for a good, heated debate we had.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think, the coming months, it's definitely a priority for us to get on some of their shows and kind of join their squads a little bit. So definitely thank you guys if you're listening, and we love your shows, and we can't wait to be on them.
Yeah, we would love to come spread our knowledge and our PhD-ness.
Our professorial.
We're not linguistes, don't worry about it.
Yeah, geez.
But yeah, so we did make our videos for our top 5 lists. We'll leave links in the description and in our end cards of this particular video. But yeah, let's just crack into it. We're gonna go from 5 to 2, and then hit our honorable mentions, the ones that didn't quite make the cut. Weren't quite chaff and all wheat. I can't really tell which one's better, but
chaff is not good.
Okay, they're more chaff than wheat then. So
yes.
And then we'll hit our number 1. So Ethan, what was your number 5?
My number 5 of the year.
You already
Holy shit! I did this video so long ago, dude. Jesus Christ. Okay, my number 5 was Attack on Titan. Season 3, Part 2.
That was a fantastic part of that season. It didn't even make my list or honorable mentions.
I know, because I've seen your video.
My number 5 was Vinland Saga. And my God, Ethan, you were so heated when you found out it was that low on my list.
Well, it's just honestly a disgrace, an abomination.
Wow.
There's just no way it could be that low on your list. Okay, to be fair, he did make the video before the finale, but
Yes.
I think even through 22, 25 episode or 20, I guess 3-ish episodes, it was good enough to make anybody's list in the top 5. Why did Attack on Titan not even make your honorable mentions?
I think the more I sat with it, and something you mentioned before, I think the whole season, or at least that part that just came out in 2019, was essentially just like a battle sin. Like, it was just like a single battle, and then the whole season was hinged on what was in the basement. And to not give any spoilers away about what was down there, I guess for me,
But it was
but here's the spoiler. No, it just, I don't know. Something about Attack on Titan just started to lose a lot of its luster for me, and a lot more original or kind of hotter IPs came out this year, even though I think that Season 3 Part 2 is probably one of the strongest releases for Attack on Titan since Season 1. I guess for me...
Let me ask you this. How long ago did you watch it?
Probably when it came out, so like early half of this year.
I feel like this has to be like a recency bias thing for you because like I recently watched this and this shit was actually baller as hell. I don't even like genuinely, I don't stand like Attack on Titan like a lot of people do, but this specific season was sick, and I think it hit every animation point that you like strive for. So I cannot fathom how this did not make your list at all.
And that's the thing. It's like it was super, like, all of like from not 5 to 5 and then like 5 to 4 and 4 to 3. They were so close. Like, everything was just, it was like hairpin trigger kind of like tiny millimeters away from each other about what made certain spots on the list. So it just was edged out. Yeah.
Like 5 was very clearly 5th, and then all the rest were really hard.
Really? Okay. Yeah, for me, it was even closer than that. I would agree. Actually, it probably should have made my honorable mentions, but you're right. It is more of a recency bias thing for me. Like, it maybe just fell off my radar. It's just so much other good shit came out.
So like, for me, that's this season actually progressed the story. Like, it has not progressed in 3 seasons, and now it's progressing. I almost feel like, though, after this, it should be over. Like, I don't know.
It is. So after this, it is the finale. Like, the final season is...
No. Like, I mean, like, Season 3 should be the end, maybe.
Really?
Like, I don't think you get a peaceful resolution. I just don't see there being a resolution. I know everyone's, like, losing their shit over the manga.
Yeah.
For, like, the next sections.
Right.
But, I don't know. It felt like a very solid, like, just, like... You know, Aaron being like a sad boy and being like, I know what's really going on type situation.
True. Yeah. Once the eyes are opened, I think we're clearly in the end game now for Attack on Titan, and I'm super stoked. Like, I think that Season 4, that concluding season, is going to be so hype, like unfathomably hype. And I think it
has to be, considering everyone's just like losing their shit in the manga.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. So, but for me, Vinland Saga had to edge it out. Like, clearly, like, I think it did for you later in this list.
It did.
It did. So, honest to God, like, I made the video. I had the list set. I saw the finale, and I was like, fuck, it definitely should have been higher on the list. But
I feel like that's also recency bias, too, though, because how can one episode just change the whole thing for you?
It really kind of did, though.
The only thing for me is it swapped my number 2 and my number 1. That was the only difference.
Interesting.
Like, seeing the finale of my number 1.
I think for me, and this is going to be a weird take, I don't know if it's a hot take, but the reason why it fell a little lower on this list was 2 reasons. One, the signing, because if you watch my video, I take approachability as one of the topics, like how readily could you give this to someone to watch that doesn't watch anime or season anime, doesn't matter who they are, and I think approachability carries this basically all the way through, and I kind of was, it's weird because that's one of those stories. Vinland Saga would have been great live action. It would have been fantastic live action, almost to the point where why make it an anime? Like, why not just adapt it for live action? It probably actually would have sold better, would have landed better.
Well, so I think these kind of stories are very well done in anime, but they're also well done. Like, I think this is something that could go either way.
Right.
I think, like, mythological type stuff and, like, basically the ability of people to like build their I don't know, mythos per se,
Right.
is done very, very well in anime.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you can actually like build lore and do like semi crazy shit. But I mean, like I said, I watched like 3 seasons of Vikings, so
Yeah, so
I would have watched this too.
it would have sold. So I don't know. I think there is still a case for it to be as low as it is, but also there is now much more of a case for it could have been higher on this list. And it wasn't so much I'm gonna go back and re-edit or anything, but it definitely made the list, and it wasn't like a distant 5. It's like a really close margin. So you definitely, it was funny. You got heated at me for making it so low.
it's just crazy. I cannot fathom it.
You can't fathom why it made. Well, that's the thing. I watch anime for like stuff I couldn't really watch live action, just stuff that wouldn't work, and that really is kind of a neat little segue into my number 4, which is Mob Psycho season 2. My God, that show, like, it just looks so unique. You can't have it any other way than anime. That's how it's so different from Vinland Saga. That's why and when I found out there's a live action, I was so mad. Like, because I wrote that part of the line, like, that this shit can't exist outside of animation. And I'm like, hold on a fucking second. And I look at clickety clack, I'm like, oh, come on, man. It's a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me sad. But what was your number 4?
My number 4, and this will piss you off, Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Oh, Ethan, my boy, that show deserves way more. It was way higher on your list. So why number 4? Why did it land there instead of a little higher for you?
Okay, first off, hot take. I think everyone is way overblowing this show. Like, it was very, very good.
That show is...
It's top 5 of the year out of 200 plus.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm just saying,
so
people act
good.
like it was like, the best show that's ever come out. Like, they're calling it their best show of the decade. That's insane to me.
Yeah, hold on. I saw that Twitter poll. You guys are a little nutty out there. I wouldn't call it the best of the decade.
Okay, people are calling Mob Psycho 100 season 2, or even just in general, their top 5 all time. I think that's fucking bonkers too.
Yeah,
you
okay.
do,
I mean,
but I don't agree.
It's one of my top. It's like probably top 5 for me of all time.
It's just crazy. I don't agree with it at all.
Yeah, as a whole, in totality, like season 1 and season 2 together, I don't know. It's just something about the way it's animated and the story behind it. It's a one story. The same guy who wrote One Punch Man, which was clearly an influential anime. And I think it's something that is so fresh to anime. It doesn't have that traditional look. Really, it doesn't have the cleanest lines, the crispiest of models, but the fluidity and the creativity in the fights alone are top notch, insane. So,
I think like post maybe Infinity Train or whatever they're gonna call it, an Infinite Train.
Yeah.
I might think that this is a great show and like deserves to be higher on the list.
So you think it needs more time to fester?
Just like nothing genuinely happened. There was 3 like cool fights,
right?
And then other than that, it's like it was a training arc for 50% of it, or like Worlds Collide type situation where it's like, why is a demon slayer, carrying around a demon? Like, that was literally the season. So it was gorgeous, beautiful. I don't know that I've seen an anime like that. Like,
right. I think that's what
that artistically driven, and just like the animation style, it makes it look like art come to life type situation.
Hell yeah.
But like, I think the plot was weak, and I think a lot of the characters were extremely weak, and that's why it made my 4th spot rather than, higher up my list.
I will talk about it when we get it to on my list. But another question for you: why didn't Mob make your list at all? Curious about that one.
It made my honorable mentions.
Okay,
but
right. So why not in the top 5? Where's the hype disconnect? Because everyone's clearly talking about it in a very superlative way. Why not you? What did it
like?
Not do
It's
for
a
you?
super good show. Like,
right,
I definitely agree it would be in my top 100 of all time.
Okay,
but it's definitely not in my like top 5. Maybe not even in my top 20.
Okay.
So like the question for me is, I wasn't compelled by Mob at all. Like,
Interesting.
I don't know. I did not feel relatable to him. Like having, I don't know. It's just really hard for me to like understand where everyone is like, I guess it's like this social anxiety type situation. Everyone's like really getting on board with.
Yeah.
Which, hey, I can get that. Like, I don't exactly enjoy being in super social situations either, but I think for me, like, Reagan is far and away the main character of that show because he adds all the like interesting pieces.
Personality.
Yeah,
too.
personality.
Yeah.
Even the little I forget the freaking guy's name, the little green boy.
Dimple.
Yeah, he might be part of the main character too.
Yeah.
I just like Mob is just fairly boring to me. Like I liked this season how he like stood up for himself a little bit finally.
Right.
And like finally, like Reagan got his like just desserts for a bit because
that was nice. Yeah,
that's like Mob was basically like, look, I don't really need you. Like,
quit dicking me around, dude. I know you're faking.
Stop effing around with me.
Yeah.
And and basically he kind of goes on hiatus from his job at Reagan's thingamajig,
spiritual consultantship. I think for me,
it just doesn't hit me.
That's fair. And a lot of people I talk to, some friends at work. Shout out to y'all at work. The mixed on Mob. Some are in my camp where they love it. Some are in your camp where they don't feel compelled. But for me, I think what it is there's a really singular contrast between OP character like Saitama and Mob, where Saitama's already at his summit. He's gone beyond where, like basically he's at the top, but he's seeking something more in that same path. Whereas Mob knows he has been like literally a god from day one, but what he seeks is a lot more relatable. Like he wants to be a social being. He wants to be fit. He wants to be a lot of human goals, despite literally like if he decided he didn't want to try anymore, he could have everything he wanted and then some. He's that powerful. Because we've all in that show, you saw different ways of psychic powers giving characters what they wanted. Some of them got muscle, some of them got popularity, some of them got prestige, money, and power. And Mob has the power to make any of those a reality for him, but he doesn't want it that way. He wants it because he wants to work hard at it. He wants to earn it. I think that's what people are relating to him that way.
And like I can understand that, and he's like got a magnetic personality in that regard. Like all the enemies end up liking him.
Yeah.
My problem is like just being so timid and like weak and annoying, even though you know you're a god, is like you can seem like you're being like too timid.
Yeah.
And like I think in a lot of ways he's very much like, I don't know, playing a game almost, where he's like, oh, I couldn't possibly beat you, and then he goes and just goes level 6,000% and beats people. It's like, I don't know. It also, like Saitama is supposed to be a joke, right? And he's unbelievably powerful. Mob isn't supposed to be a joke.
Right.
And so he's stronger than everyone, but he's also not a joke about it.
But that's the thing. Part of it too is he had to suppress himself and he had to forcibly become timid. But otherwise, he couldn't. He literally is too powerful for his own vessel to control. And that's the last time he actually exploded. He, hurt people around him. So he had to be kind of this suppressed little schmuck, and that's what kind of he's just like this timid little emotionless like husk, and that's kind of where there's reason why that's there, but I can understand why that doesn't make for a compelling character for some people. So I get that. So I think you're dead wrong on Demon Slayer, but I can see your Mob thing. I can totally see your Mob thing. Well, where'd you
we'll get
land?
there, I guess.
We'll get there. What landed at your number 3?
My number 3 was Vinland Saga.
There it is. Okay, my number 3 was Promised Neverland. And I think this, honestly, Vinland Saga could have fallen here for me as well. Like, it, again, sublime. The narrative is probably one of the best. Second only to Promised Neverland. Like, Promised Neverland story, my God. In my video, I told everyone to go watch it. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I think...
What's great about it is you can suggest it to anyone and they only have to watch one episode to get hooked.
Yes.
Like that's easily... I think the best thing you can say about it is like it's a 1-episode hook.
And I don't,
like no other.
I can't think of another. There's a couple other shows. Madoka Magica had that.
It was okay.
It had a 3-episode hook.
It was 3 episodes though.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't one.
But that one had a similar deep hook, like really,
for sure,
really deep. But Promised Neverland, it's probably the easiest sell of 2019, wouldn't you say? I mean, of anything on your lists for people who are an anime or not, doesn't matter, kind of unilaterally, you could sell this and it's an easy sell.
Yeah, I think the thing that is kind of hard about it, though, to sell on to somebody is you don't want to spoil anything. So
that is rough.
Like, you literally have to be like, just watch the first episode and then we can talk about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, that's a little tougher than, like, say, a Vinland Saga or a Kimetsu no Yaiba, where you can talk about some of the plot points that don't give it away, but, like, basic idea of what's going on.
Do you not think that mystery element, though, for Promised Neverland, just like, I literally can't talk about it, but just take 23 minutes out of your life and you will instantly be hooked on a brilliant show? Do you think that helps with the selling aspect?
Yeah, I think definitely. But, you know, the good thing for us and Patrick, when we first watched it, we had not heard about it, really.
That is true. I went
we
completely
had
blind.
Exactly nothing like to go off of.
Right.
So then when we saw that first episode, it was just freaking over. We're like, hell yes, I'm watching all of this. I don't really care, you know?
Hell,
and so I think...
Our group chat was like, what is it, the Don Boys? Like,
yeah. We were the Don Boys for quite a while.
Don Boys! But yeah, so Promised Neverland...
Actually, Crybaby Don.
Yeah, the Crybaby Don. Don's character arc is probably the most majestic in any of anime.
Totally.
Of
insane.
all time.
It was unbelievable.
The man goes from a wuss baby supreme to this man, this proper man.
A leader, frankly.
A leader. It's a one-man show at the end, and it's all Don. But yeah, so Vinland Saga, for me, I think, again, there's something about the maturity aspect. It gets a little gory. I don't ever think it does get too edgy. It never feels like there's edge for edge's sake. The time period eludes itself for violence.
Well, I was just going to say, like, you can say whatever you want about gory or edgy, like, that shit happens. So
yeah, right.
Honestly, like, I don't know how you can be mad about that. It's not like they're like torturing people on screen or anything, which also happened. So
yeah, and I think what's weird to me too is that the whole time I was watching it, I'm like thinking to myself, "Oh, this truly is a anime for almost anybody," and I couldn't help. I don't like it, but I can't help but do a Game of Thrones comparison a little bit. It's got, you know, that vibe to it. But Game of Thrones has some seriously grotesque shit. Like,
yeah, I don't personally like super agree with the like drawing conclusions between the two of those.
Yeah, I'm just thinking how you sell it. You know, how do you pitch it to somebody who's like, I don't watch anime, I don't give a shit, but try me on this one. Like, okay. Well,
yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's not unlike Attack on Titan that much. It's both Germanic and
True.
There's some like political shit going on in the background. I think the one thing that obviously separates is this is grounded in reality.
Very.
And but I think that lends it to be a little bit more relatable and human, because I think all of these things that all the characters feel throughout the show, you could totally feel them if you were put yourself in their shoes. I think, you know, Thorfinn's, you know, basically desire to get revenge for his father, who, you know, that is something that 100% happened, because that's
literally the story. Yeah, like that's history.
The story, but
and I think that's the most compelling, because I think it's probably one of the most complex themes. I mean, it's not just a straight revenge story. It's, you know, where do you put all that energy? It's fascinating because their lines of good and evil blurred in such a beautiful way that you're not really sure if the what you thought was the villain is really a villain, or the protagonist, quote unquote, under my cozy blanket fingers, can't really claim a true good, or there's like who you're rooting for kind of shifts a lot in Vinland Saga. I think that keeps it above a lot of other anime in that, again, you could do this live action and it would be a absolute banger.
Yeah, but I think for sure you have to, like you keep saying, the seinen. I agree very much. This is a very adult show. This is not something for kids, I don't think.
Right.
Because I think the shifting kind of point of view of like who is actually right in this situation, I think could be very confusing for children.
Oh, yeah.
Because like none of these people are doing good things, but you're rooting for Thorfinn for bloody revenge, and you're like, maybe that's, I recently did a video on the finale and kind of talked through some kind of plot points I thought were good, bad, whatever. But at one point I mentioned like you're kind of rooting for him even though he's not really doing anything good. Like his whole goal is not good.
Right.
And then the question is, and maybe we should do a separate video on this, but like, what is a true warrior? Because everyone's talking about it.
That was a big, heavy theme in the second half,
I think.
Yeah, like what makes for the perfect warrior, and in the way they framed it near the end of the season, the way that Thor's managed to figure it out, or whatever it may be, and we still don't know that, right? Like, I guess the protection of family or whatever, but
it's really like, I think in a lot of ways not answered just yet, but I think maybe that's Thorfinn's arc, is figuring out what is a true warrior, because I think Thorkel very specifically mentioned to him, hey, I didn't want your dad to die so he could teach me how to be a true warrior.
Yeah, fuck that guy for dying.
Right.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I think, I don't know, I'm very interested in how this kind of goes. Like, considering what we saw this season was literally the end of a prologue.
Yeah, that was actually
like,
shocking
holy
to me.
F.
I'm ready for it. This is truly going to be a saga, and I'm super hype about that. Thorkill is probably my favorite character, though. Like,
yeah, because he's just chaotic. He wants to fucking fight
like,
everyone.
7'2".
Yeah.
Like 500 pounds. He's huge. He's a truck of a man, and he loses like so many body parts. two
fingers. Two fingers.
And an eye.
And an eyeball.
And I think his neck's pretty fucked. Like,
no.
It wants that. I mean,
just his eye.
Just one.
You only need.
You got two. Lost. Only need one of those bitches, but he doesn't really. I can't imagine he fights too well now with a lack of depth perception. Imagine going to a duel and seeing him swinging like 10 feet away from his opponent. Just, huh!
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it matters because he's just really big.
Yeah, he is a bear. He is a bear ox of a dude. But yeah. So number 2, I think we can talk more about Promised Neverland here, because I think that's where
that is my number 2.
There you go. Yeah. So mine was A Dr. Stone. Such a good anime, but Promised Neverland, I was thinking more about. It used to be Norman was my favorite character. I think it might be Mom, Isabel.
She's very compelling when you figure out what the hell went down.
Yeah, like I did a little research on her, and her character arc probably is my favorite. Maybe in all of these shows, even more than Askeladd. Just the way that she gave up hope.
I wouldn't go that far. I think Askeladd's an absolute mad lad.
Askeladd the mad lad. But no, as a character as a whole, I think Askeladd's better. But in terms of arc and backstory behind one, I think Isabel. Is it Isabel or Isabella?
We've
had this before.
We've had this issue before. I think it's Isabel, but I could be wrong.
I'm gonna go Mommy Bell. No, Isabel. She just kind of resigned herself to the life that she was just fortunate enough to become a mother, and give in to despair a little bit. And she is the embodiment of what happens when you let hopelessness creep in, and makes Emma's character all the more brilliant when she decides not to give into that. So I think it used to be Norman because he is just big brain extraordinary, but Isabel, I think, is my new favorite character in Promised Neverland.
I think mine's probably still Norman, but what I will say is I think this show for me it was literally my number one until the last episode of my number one now. But this was my number one because I just loved like the mystery aspect, the thriller aspect, because I think there's very few shows, at least in the anime genre, if you want to call it that
it's a medium.
Medium that was able to capture mystery and thriller quite like this.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Like, I think we mentioned in our Promised Neverland podcast episode that I don't think I got the thriller vibes or like the same like mental back and forth since Death Note.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
honest to God. And if anyone knows of a show that kind of is along the same vein, let us know, because that type of show is so my angle. A show that I see coming up that might be like that is Pet, that psych thriller about people who can tweak memories. Kind of that's why it interests me, because of shows like Promised Neverland.
Yeah, I hear Bakano is similar in a lot of ways.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like kind of psychological thriller type situation.
Yeah, I really
it was the guys who did Durarara.
Yes, Durarara got close. Durarara was pretty cool.
It was very much more a slice of life situation, though, to me. Like, I think it was less ratcheted up thrill.
Right.
There was sections where it was like, holy fudge, what's going to happen? But
I do like the way that they told a story, too, about just so many concurrent things happening at once, and it all just kind of hits ahead at certain moments, and that's where you get that vibe. But, yeah, anyone who knows any shows like Promised Neverland, kind of in that same psych thriller camp, hit us up on Instagram. We'll watch and maybe do a podcast episode about them.
I heard there's this baseball show, believe it or not, that is like he bets on his own games or something.
Interesting.
I forget what it's called. I'll look it up.
Okay.
But I heard it's basically Death Note, the baseball game.
Now, just imagine like 3 episodes and just one pitch, like L versus Yagami style, just on the mound. Like, if I throw a curveball, he's gonna hit it this way. But if I throw a fastball that looks like a curveball, then he'll hit it this way. Next time, I throw a fastball and just like rattle off a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking like stuff like that, where it's just like a lot of mental kind of gymnastics you have to do and thinking, I think Kakegurui did a good job of that.
I still haven't watched that. I guess I'll listen to a couple reviews and maybe I'll let that sway me. And they're like, it's not that good, but
I think they're wrong. I recommend.
Friends love it, so that might be what I pick up next. So,
and then Patrick, one of his top 5 shows of all time, Kaiji, is also about
now
gambling.
Kaiji. I'd probably watch.
I think it's
betting,
worse.
It's worse.
Sorry, Patrick.
Uh-oh.
If you ever listen to this,
I can't tell if that's a hot take or not.
It's not.
It's not. It's a mild take. A lukewarm take?
No, it's just a correct one.
It's just the right one. But yeah, we can talk about Dr. Stone here in a bit, because I think I know where it lands on your list. But let's fire off some honorable mentions. What do you think what's your first honorable mention? That one that all of the honorable mentions you had, what was the closest of making your number 5?
Ooh,
like what could have edged in?
Jeez, I think my honorable mentions were definitely very clearly not top 5.
Okay.
But I guess the closest one would be Mob Psycho 100.
So it did make your honorables.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I feel okay about that. That's cool. Yeah, I think for me, it was clearly not, but it's the only isekai on my list. Well, I do say in my video, I can't, the jury's still out for me whether Dr. Stone is an isekai or not. I think it is.
You could say.
Yeah,
you can be isekai to your own world.
Yeah, it's just with enough time and enough respawn lag,
yeah.
Eventually you will find a different world. But Rising the Shield Hero was the only true isekai on this list, and I think it was Slime almost made it because it was very wholesome as a show. But Rising of the Shield Hero did enough to subvert. I think it all boiled down to Naofumi being literally starting with all of these negatives and then using those negatives to his advantage to get the edge later.
I watched it much more recently, and it probably should have made my honorable mentions, but I just like the other 3 shows. I totally
get it. I'm just an isekai nerd.
No, I think it was a great show. A lot of people are smack talking it that I've heard.
Really?
Even on the Anime Summit podcast, no cap, but I don't think it was as bad as everyone's freaking claiming. I think if people are just kind of tired of isekais and so they're letting that sway their opinion. I think the show is good. I think it takes an interesting take, like four people isekai'd from different versions of the same Earth. Right?
People sleep on that.
I
too.
think that's cool.
That's
hell.
rad. So it's,
and then he comes in and he's starting from a way negative, and we literally still don't really know why.
Yeah, we know that there's some strange religion that goes against the shield.
Well, the king, something happened in their family where the shield hero, previous one, I guess, did something to their family.
Right.
But we never freaking figure out what it was yet.
But
then there's also a situation where more people are isekai'd to this land.
Yes, there's other people with more legendary weapons.
Right. And
that's
so
curious, right?
I just think it's a lot better of a show than a lot of people give it credit for. I do think they went a little hard on like the creating a villain situation for Naofumi.
Yeah,
like
go
it was
into that.
a little bit much.
What do you mean? Oh, so creating a villain.
They just like cratered him in the first 5 episodes, and like the way I would have dealt with it is just become the villain, like legitimately.
He does have a little bit of that.
Yeah,
though.
but he was also like
he dabbles.
Still nice about it.
Ish. That's the thing. I think Giga might have said it best. You can't really tell if he's being a dick or he's trying to get a little big brain about things.
I don't quite know, but I would be so like aggressively an asshole.
Oh, dude, me too.
If they did that to me.
If people think I'm a dick, then why not use that to my advantage even more than Naofumi did? I also like that they tempered the harem thing a little bit. I like Raphtalia as a character. She is the lolly, not lolly. You have Chicken Lolly and you have Princess Lolly. So there are a lot of lollies in this fucking show, I will say. But there's not, it doesn't.
Yeah, but I don't feel like it's very sexualized at all. So I don't feel like even there is a harem. I think it's more like it's just like happens to be the people that follow him.
Like, what's the people from Sword Art Online? Kirito and Azumi? Asuna, that's it. That this like the one main ship. That's it. And then there's like some auxiliaries around.
But that's what's cool. Like he's not even really shipped with Raphtalia. No. He believes she's more like a daughter to him than like.
Right.
And like so it's more familial than it is anything else.
Well, you gotta watch out. In Japan, that doesn't mean much. I mean, just saying. At least in a lot of these animes, it doesn't really make.
Well, I'm just saying in the show, he never really shows super like. Yeah, sexualized.
There's care. There's clear care, but it's not over the top.
And I think that's fine. I think if you traveled with a group for that long, you would feel like they're related to you too.
I just want a giant chicken bird like Philo. That's just all I want. I want those drumsticks, baby. Like that's that. No,
oh my, he's gonna
not that way. I want. You know, that's a tasty bird. You know, that's like you can get a lot of fucking nuggets out of a bird that big. You know,
what's happening right now?
I want a big chicken. I just want a really big chicken, Ethan.
This is terrible.
You're terrible. I just want a big chicken.
God.
This is no way weird. It's just I'm a hungry boy. I have like Subway down here. There's chicken on that too. Okay, what's another honorable mention of yours? I think we may have one in common.
One Punch Man season 2.
Why didn't it make your list, dude? Like I feel like for a lot of people it didn't end up as bad as everyone was saying it is. Yet it still didn't feel like it breached that level. You know?
I think honestly only because it had insane competition. I think this was one of the strongest anime years in a long time.
It really was.
And so I think this comes out in 2018 or 17. It is probably.
Interesting. Because 2016 was probably the last year in recent memory that Attack on Titan Season 1, One Punch Man Season 1, that year was strong. 2019, unusually strong year, and you're right. I do think that there have been complaints about the animation. It does feel a little cheap at times, but it doesn't also at other times.
I just think people were way up their own asses about it. That it makes no sense to me.
I was up my own ass about it.
There's some situations I can understand, but like the fights still look cool. The only thing that's tough about this specific season is they try to fit a ton in.
You're right.
So like they did kind of truncate a little bit of the martial arts tournament.
That was one of my big gripes.
They did a lot of off-screen fights with some of the Monster Association.
Mm-hmm. That did hurt the soul a little bit because I remember reading it and it was like this fight's gonna rip so hard.
And I think Saitama not being necessarily the main character of this season did affect people's opinions of it.
I actually think that that's one of the reasons I did like season 2, because
I agree. I'm just saying. I think that's
you're
a
right.
general approach.
The gimmick of Saitama, the gig is up, essentially. That you have this great world of heroes and villains now build on it, and they did that very well, very well. Garu, probably one of my favorite antagonists of the year. He was enjoyable to watch. He was a good perspective. He was essentially a shonen protagonist, but a villain. And they did a really good job portraying his character in the show. I think everyone just wanted to see more big ass punches, essentially. I think it's just, and again, that's what sells. That's what sells with that IP. And
I think you got it with Elder Centipede, and I think
Yes.
you got really cool fights with Garu versus the 8A level heroes.
that was cool.
We see a little bit more from S-Class, finally. We see just a larger hero pool, and I think that for me that was more of a payoff than specifically just watching Saitama F shit up every time. Like getting a better grasp of the rest of the heroes, I think was very important, and I really enjoyed it.
Hell yeah. What else is on my list? My Hero Academia season 4. Now, did this even make your honorable mentions?
No.
Haha. Yeah, it nearly didn't for me either. But I guess what?
Haha, no.
No. My bias here is because that's one of the few mangas I did read, and I know the whole story of this arc, and I can firmly say that it really is a strong story. It's gonna have that One Punch Man season 2 vibes, where the plot is gonna drive it in the latter half of this season, but you had to take it in just what they showed that year. We had brought up on the show before, would My Hero be a contender for Anime of the Year with just what comes out in 2019? And I can safely say, no way in hell. Not even a little bit.
No, but I think you'll still see people are going to say it is.
Yeah.
I can understand loving the IP. I think it's a great show.
Yes.
And I have enjoyed it up until this point. But I think, first of all, when I did my list, not really a whole lot of the Lemillion stuff. Nothing had happened yet.
Right.
Nothing with Substitute Squad, with Toga and Twice.
Yeah.
Like, really nothing had happened yet. And I don't know why the hell they decided to put it at the end of 2019. Are they trying to go for a double of like, we're 2019 and 2020?
Yeah, they could squeak out an award from 2019 and then drive it home in 2020.
I legit think that must be it, because I don't understand why you would do that. I think you're gonna miss out on a lot of these lists from people.
Yeah,
because it's like weirdly in between both years.
I can't tell if that's a consistent thing, because didn't they always used to come out in the spring? Like, that's what I always thought.
I don't know. I don't think I must not have watched them as they came out previously, because I feel like I watched the whole season at once, which I am wont to do very often.
And I think that's...
But I mean, I think so far it's just been very weak, lackluster season.
I agree.
And I think, I don't know,
dude. That whole shit with the movie, you pointing the movie, like the break and the new movie coming out, and the timing of all that.
Yeah, I mean, and they're just doing
on.
some fuckery with the scheduling and like stuff like that. So I'm not a massive fan so far of what they're doing, but I think it's hard because it is a very strong IP.
Yes, and
I think we all know what the eventual goal is, right? We know that somehow Midoriya becomes the #1 hero. Right now, he looks like a complete bitch. So
especially this season, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He looks even bitchier than normal.
But Lemillion is obviously the shining star here. He is such an awesome, fun character, enjoyable, making the season bearable to even watch. Overhaul, love him as a villain.
Same, he's sick.
Yeah. We haven't really seen what his core can really do yet. What Overhaul really do, the disassembling and reassembling of shit.
I mean, he can tear someone apart and put them back together. Like, that's pretty gnarly.
That's horrifying as a concept. But yeah, so I think that's it for anything else in your honorable mentions?
My last honorable mention was Kengan Ashura.
Oh, nice. So I thought about putting some of those Netflix ones on. Did Castlevania come out this year, that 8 episode? That one almost made it too, because that was fun to watch. But why this one? Why this one over others?
Yeah, so I just think, first of all, better than Baki.
Yes.
I think there's a genuine story.
yeah,
Like
the
an
story's
actual
fun.
plot that isn't psychotic.
It's not just a beacon of victory
Yeah,
for these rando criminals. It's actually
Like, Baki's cool.
Yes.
The fights are cool. But honestly insane. The story, I know that we aren't starting from the beginning, but even if we were, I don't think it's as strong a story as this, because they give you like why these crazy psychos are fighting, and then you just get to watch them fight. There doesn't need to be that much depth to it.
Right.
It's just literally like, how do you want to, basically how does Hitachi and Sony settle a dispute that doesn't have to go to court every like 5 minutes?
Yeah, does that to go to court?
They basically
Yeah.
will each have a champion fighter, and they go and be gladiators, and then whoever wins the fight wins the debate or whatever the situation is.
I love that they like these fighters have like net worth, like what they've won, the deals they've won for these companies gets amassed in their net worth. So some of these people are worth like 11 trillion yen, like casually.
I think it's the companies.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, that this fighter, their net income, like their net worth is their winnings for the company is like 11 trillion yen just on them alone, consecutive wins. So they have win loss records.
I didn't see
cool.
that. I thought it was saying how much the net worth of the companies were. Is what I think it was saying.
I think it was even more. I think I said I still think it's the fighter that's just like this one is.
I guess we'll never know.
Just click on Netflix right now, and there it is. But yeah, that one could have easily made this list as well. I think
the only thing holding it back for me was the CGI was rough, but I think during the fight it was fine.
Actually, it wasn't. I warmed up to it, and I don't say that lightly. I think CGI, when done right, can be a huge boon. But when done poorly, it's just such a distraction.
Yeah, it's a real abomination.
Real abomination, a bane, not a boon. But here we are, arrived at our number one spots. Ethan, what is it for you?
Dr. Stone.
Dr. Stone.
And I'm 10 billion% sure it's the best one.
That was my number 2, and that's why I left a little bit of talking about it for that. But my number 1, Demon fucking Slayer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said it that way. I said it that way for a reason, because everyone is pretty freaking hype on Demon Slayer. Like, maybe to the point where I felt weird jumping on that bandwagon. It was,
and I think you should feel weird jumping on.
No.
So let me tell you why this is like a personal pick for me, because like I'm an engineer, so I like really am down with science.
Right.
I'm also down with like survival shows, like hunting shows, shit like that, where you like literally just have to go out and like survive. That shit is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Kimetsu no Yaiba, I think, is obviously a great show. It made my top 5, but I just don't think it had enough like specific like honed in shots at like what I enjoy.
Okay. And I think that's what Demon Slayer was for me. It hit all the little things. Incredible villain designs. Like, so the creativity in the demons, unparalleled. I think it was some of the coolest power sets. Like the dude with the arrows in the eyes for hands. That I haven't seen that shit. Maybe like Vector from a certain scientific railgun or whatever. He can control.
Well, what about the witch from Soul Eater? She used vector magic.
Vector magic. You're right. So I'm saying, but just the way his design with it, again, I just hadn't seen anything like it, and it was super cool. But Dr. Stone made number 2, and you're totally right. I think the sheer novelness of Dr. Stone propelled it into anyone's top 5, I would imagine.
As a true scientist.
As a
Weebology
true
professor. Yeah. No, I just... and like, I don't know, maybe you should watch out on our YouTube channel. We might have like some shit where we're making some of that stuff or something.
What he said.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's accessible. And like you said in your video, actually, like at the end, they put the disclaimer, don't try this at home. You legit will like make this.
You'll blow your
like,
shit
this
up.
Is real.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, they truncated a lot of the science. I think it's a lot harder than they're giving it credit for, but I think that's what anime can do, because you don't have infinite time to show them like creating glass. Like, they made glass ridiculously easily,
Right.
at least per the show, and
Uh-huh.
it is not easy to make glass, at least like clear glass and like shape it like they did.
Right.
Like, I think they fortunately were able to be like, we have this old guy who's a freaking master craftsman.
And I think what's cool about Dr. Stone is what a lot of other shows, not even just anime, a lot of like live action science fiction stuff too, is you kind of have to come in with a suspension of disbelief about a couple of things to make the narrative work in your head. Dr. Stone does the opposite, where there might be some suspension of disbelief about, hey, yeah, their glass making was somehow perfect with these rudimentary tools and a craftsman who had no concept of the thing. But they leaned on the science. You don't have to suspend disbelief on how it's possibly done. They use that real life leverage and do it. So it felt rewarding because you're like, oh yeah, that is how glass is made. Like, that's cool.
Right. And I think, I don't know, just for me, I've always been fascinated with like, how did we end up where we're at? Like, who was the first person that figured out that shellite, first of all, glows in the moonlight, insane, and then secondly,
cool.
you can refine it into tungsten. Like, what the hell are people doing out there? You know, that kind of thing. And then, like, you know, they made the world's first plastic. They made some like rudimentary antibiotics. The sulfa drug is what they call it.
They made a fucking vacuum tube. Are you kidding? That's insane.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
they made an actual vacuum with mercury. Like, where did they even get the mercury type situation? I don't know. It's just, like, very cool. I think one kind of the only real problem I have is a lot of their, like, mineral findings and stuff like that. Like, they're not really native to Japan.
Interesting. So
So,
you don't think that they could find those ores?
I think it'd be really freaking hard.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Japan is, like, a volcanic
so
country,
there'd
so
be some heavy metals.
they would have a lot of very interesting like different minerals, and like obviously sulfur would be in high abundance, and like stuff like that. So like a lot of what they did is like very, very plausible and totally would work. But you know, like I said, maybe we might have some of that on our channel pretty soon. I don't know.
I think that, again, for a lot of people like wondering what's that it factor for Dr. Stone, I was thinking about like how to put that into words. It entertains the idea that what would happen if the entirety of human progression wasn't a guessing game. If we knew all the correct steps, how quick would it take? And that's why I think this show is so cool, because like I said, 2 million years of human invention and progress confined down to, we know the path. We know that that whole time was a guessing game. Like you said, what the fuck are they doing out here? Who's cooking stuff up this way to make tungsten? They just happen to find it. Yeah,
right, but I do like, so they do address that in the beginning where they meet Chrome.
Yeah.
He literally was just testing rocks and minerals and stuff and found out that some of them did crazy stuff.
Right.
And so, like, giving him his, like actual knowledge behind his basically scientific method of, like, trial and error, that was awesome, because he was like finally getting why everything was working like it was. Like, you add physics and you add like a backbone to some of these things,
right?
And everything starts making sense.
Everything clicks.
But then the reason that it actually was my number one and not my number two, because at first Promised Neverland was my number one.
Okay.
That final episode where they find the record from Senku's dad and the original founders of the village. Basically,
spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Oops.
Oops. It's fine. Go watch it. We'll have a whole podcast episode about it soon. So
well, I mean, it's in my video too. So
yeah, it's all in there.
So basically, the idea is like a pop star from our generation, like just good voice, like very gorgeous voice, I guess. She sings into this like basically kind
of like a record.
Yeah, they made a glass record.
Yeah.
And then they play it back for the village, which is like 3,700 years later.
With no concept of modern music as we know it. Yeah,
no music really at all, and definitely not like a supreme talent like this this girl is. And so like the whole village is like instantly moved.
To the point where we are now fully behind science. Like, to the point where he had a squad. He had like a science squad, but now he has a whole science village. A kingdom,
but
if you will.
It was like more than that. It was like, this is what you like have to kind of take yourself out of the just watching an anime situation and be like, this is literally what like science and like I guess, leisure that science has built has
Right.
allowed for, because he kind of was talking about that. Him and Geen, they were both like, yeah, and I mean, we have an entire industries for just like entertainment.
Yeah.
And like you really step back and you're like, holy shit. Like
Right.
it just like it's a very I think impressive undertone to the season, because then you think, yeah, they're right. Like when you're not worried about survival and you're not worried about power and you're not worried about some of these things,
What are we capable of when all that's taken care of?
you're allowed to start thinking about art. You're allowed to start thinking about all this other stuff. And I think, I don't know, for me, it just like really, really hit. And
you can have two schmucks in a room and
that's what's my number one.
Comfy polyester talking into microphones with the leisure of science at our disposal. I think why it didn't make my number, that final episode definitely cemented at number 2, but why Demon Slayer made my number 1 is kind of the way I put it in my video, is that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and it's just each part was just so already high quality, and there's something about the total conciseness of the package that is Demon Slayer. And we in the next week's episode, we do have a discussion about one of the characters in Demon Slayer, but I think overall I liked something about all the characters got it for me, and I don't know, just something really clicked with me, the same way Dr. Stone for like episode 1, not episode 1, the top spot for you, because it spoke to you on certain levels that are really personal. Same thing with Demon Slayer for me, very familial based, very visually aesthetically pleasing, really cool designs for characters, stuff like that. All of these things made for a really concise package, and that's why it made my number 1. So
right, but I feel like if you based it off like purely off of art and like animation, I think clearly that's the number 1 of the season. And I think honestly, this might be hard for people to understand or believe, but I think season 3 episode or part 2 actually is the second best of the year.
I have to agree.
Because there's just like bonkers ass Sakugo like you love.
Yes. And
just like some really crazy stuff. But I just think personally, I know everyone was really hype about it, and I still love the show, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think it had the plot, and it definitely didn't have like the characters you need.
I think it really, that's the thing. I think it had a good plot. I mean, I don't know how far in the manga the manga currently is. Maybe it's got that really, deep game. It felt like it set up shit for a deep game. It had the squads you like, both on the hero and villain side. It had literally lore teases that are meant to be kind of long game. I don't know. I think it tickled enough for me to be like, this is going to be an IP I stick with for a long, long time. So I'm in. I think, like you said before, this has been an unusually strong year for anime.
Yeah, and specifically like the very beginning of the year was unbelievable.
So much stuff hit so hard.
Yeah, it was like I think honestly it seemed like spring and winter were the 2 strongest. And then obviously recently we've had some damn good shows too, so it's kind of hard to say that, but I mean, crazy year. I guess maybe not next episode, but the episode after, we should probably like just go down the list of how many we actually watched from this year.
And just kind of just recap a couple that maybe,
I don't know, just like so people know that we watched a shitload of seasonal anime.
We did watch a shitload of seasonal anime this
and like
year.
Just because they didn't make the list doesn't mean we didn't watch them and stuff like that. Maybe
we could discuss the worst.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I mean, we already have Ari Ferretta.
It's probably Ari Ferretta, but I think that's it, man. Thank y'all for listening and watching. YouTube gang, thank you very much for watching.
Thanks, YouTube gang.
Yeah.
Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Smash that bell and that like button. I hate that phrase. Come on over to Instagram. We got memes on
It's
memes
better
on
than
memes.
sauce.
It's better than sauce.
I can't stand this sauce shit.
Sauce? You don't like? Wait, sauce?
It's fucking awful. Just say, give me the source.
My pasta's a little dry, good sir. Could you provide me with
a
little sauce?
I can't stand it.
Because a man without sauce is lost, Ethan.
I think it's a disgrace.
But you can get lost in the sauce. But yeah, coming over to Instagram, we got memes on memes on memes. They're popping again, which is nice. If you want to listen to more of our podcast, you can check us out on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, and other places now.
Many more.
And many, many more. Yeah, thank you again for Danny from Anime Summit and Anime Compost for coming on our shows. You can go listen to those episodes from Anime Summit before. Keep an eye out next week for Anime Compost's guest visit, spot, and discussion. But I guess that's it. Hey, Ethan, did they get a little learned today?
They've been learned 100%.
I think they got a little turned.
At least I did.
And I think we got a little burnt. Someone got burnt today.
I don't know. We got to work on the burnt one.
You got to work on the burnt one. But thanks, y'all, for coming to class.
Thank you guys for coming to class.
I'm Ricky.
And I'm Ethan.
And this has been Weebology.
Deuces. I'm so comfy.
So comfy, baby. Yeah.